Seoul is only 40 kilometers away. Why, over all these years, has North Korea never truly dared to move southwards? Early this year, the Korean Peninsula once again stirs up waves. With one command from Kim Jong-un, North Korea has officially declared South Korea as its top enemy. Simultaneously, the pacification and recovery of the Democratic Republic of Korea have become North Korea's clear objective to be added to the constitution. Amidst North Korea's tough stance, many people start to worry about the outbreak of war as Seoul, the capital of South Korea, is only about 40 kilometers away from the 38th parallel. Once North Korea firmly decides to move southwards, South Korea could possibly be leveled within minutes. But is it as simple as that? Nowadays, news about North Korea testing new weapons emerges every other day on the internet, creating an illusion that North Korea's military might is stronger than South Korea's. Indeed, under Kim Jong-il, the idea that North Korea cannot survive without South Korea and that life is impossible without bullets. The guiding principle of North Korea's military-first policy over the past decades has certainly led to considerable growth in North Korea's military capabilities. However, many people overlook one key issue: is South Korea truly weak? From South Korea's perspective, there's always a neighbor to the north who might attack at any time, causing constant worry even in times of peace. But we've noticed that unlike North Korea, South Korea doesn't invest as much energy into military construction. Instead, it has achieved impressive results in economic development. This cannot help but make people curious. Is South Korea not afraid at all? In reality, South Korea is indeed not afraid, because once the military powers of both Koreas are fully disclosed, it's clear that North Korea is the side that should be afraid. On January 19th this year, the U.S. Military Power Rating Agency, GFP, published its 2024 Global Firepower Index. Among the 145 countries with regular armies, North Korea's military power ranks 36th, while South Korea ranks 5th. Although armchair strategizing is not always accurate, as we've seen with the long-standing #1 United States who've suffered defeats in the Korean and Vietnam Wars, through these data, we can know that it's not an easy task for North Korea to even compete with South Korea, let alone defeat it. According to statistics from 2017, North Korea has the 4th largest military in the world, with a standing army of 1.19 million, 189,000 paramilitary personnel, and 600,000 people in the National Defense Reserve, and 5.7 million in the Worker-Peasant Red Guards. By the end of 2016, North Korea had a total population of 25.11 million. This means that every day, North Korea has soldiers and potential soldiers bearing arms, accounting for 30% of the total population. If you remove the elderly and children, North Korea has essentially achieved the state of total mobilization. In South Korea, compulsory military service is one of its basic national policies. Unless you've made significant contributions to the country or are suffering from serious injuries or illnesses, every adult South Korean male must serve in the military. Being found intentionally evading military service would result in severe punishment, no matter whether you're a noble or a commoner. Thus, under such a firm policy, the quantity of South Korean military resources is not to be underestimated. Also in 2017, the total number of South Korea's active and reserve military personnel was 8.13 million, accounting for 16% of South Korea's total population of 50.92 million. From this, it's not hard to see that if war breaks out, South Korea's potential military size is no less than North Korea's. However, because the total population is twice that of North Korea, the proportion would be lower. This also clearly shows that, in reality, South Korea has more potential for warfare than North Korea. Of course, warfare is not simply a battle of military numbers. After all, the United States showed the world through the Gulf War that technology is what truly matters. And in this aspect, South Korea has completely pulled ahead. The gap between North Korea and its modern-day adversaries becomes apparent when considering the essential Air Force power in modern warfare. According to South Korea's Defense White Paper, North Korea's Air Force has a total of 1,650 aircraft and helicopters, of which 545 are combat airplanes and armed helicopters. At first glance, this combat force might seem sizable. However, the crux of the matter is that the majority of these aircraft are outdated second- and first-generation models. The imports from Russia, the MiG-29 third-generation aircraft, number no more than 35 and are of a very early model. In contrast, the development of the South Korean Air Force over the years has been robustly supported by the United States. While South Korea is equipped with only 560 combat planes and armed helicopters, it boasts as many as 230 third-generation fighters, including the advanced, internationally recognized F-16CD and the heavy combat F-15K, which are improved versions of third-generation fighters. No wonder military experts have assessed that North Korea has no chance in an aerial combat with South Korea. With such a significant Air Force disparity, the gaps in ground and naval forces are even less worth mentioning. Hence, even though the DMZ is only 40 kilometers from Seoul, this is not necessarily a pathway for a North Korean invasion. It could very well be South Korea advancing north. The question then arises, given South Korea's superior military strength compared to North Korea, why hasn't it loudly claimed its intent to recover the North over so many years? The simple reason North Korea has managed to keep South Korea so compliant is that it holds something that deters South Korea from acting rashly: nuclear weapons. Amidst the invasion by the United Nations forces led by the United States in the 1950s, North Korea once teetered on the edge of annihilation. Stemming from this harrowing experience, after the Korean War ended, the then Supreme Leader of North Korea, Kim Il-sung, issued personal orders to develop nuclear weapons at any cost. He claimed that even though North Korea was a small country, it should have everything other countries have, including nuclear weapons. So in 1956, North Korea signed an agreement with the Soviet Union and formally started its nuclear industry development plan. Objectively speaking, in the context of the Cold War, North Korea's development of nuclear weapons was an inevitable choice of the era. As a former sage put it, being without a sword and refraining from using it are two different matters. North Korea didn't dare to gamble the nation's destiny on the goodwill of the United States. Moreover, countless examples have shown that the United States is not synonymous with benevolence. However, looking from the standpoint of other countries, including the Soviet Union, allowing North Korea to possess nuclear weapons was not a wise decision. The Korean Peninsula, due to its unique geographical position, has always been a strategic focal point for major powers. The possession of nuclear weapons by North Korea undoubtedly adds uncertainty to regional stability. This is why the Soviet Union eventually came to its senses after the 1980s, swiftly adjusting its cooperation with North Korea regarding the nuclear industry and urging it to sign the nuclear non-proliferation treaty. However, this proved to be too late. In February 2005, the North Korean government declared North Korea an official nuclear-armed state, and in October 2006, it crossed the threshold by conducting its first public nuclear test. Although various countries, including China, have tirelessly made efforts over the years to return the peninsula to a non-nuclear state, each round of failed negotiations forces us to acknowledge that North Korea is now a country illegally in possession of nuclear weapons. With nuclear North Korea, even if its military might is weaker than South Korea's, its influence is no less, even daring to confront threats from the United States. From a broader perspective, as the United States and South Korea increase their collusion and pressure on North Korea, it only convinces the North that its development of nuclear weapons was the right choice. If the United States and South Korea don't change their hostile attitudes towards North Korea, then the nuclear issue on the peninsula will forever remain unsolved. In reality, for current North Korea, it may well be on the brink of transformation. The gap in military strength aside, catching up to South Korea in terms of economy and quality of life may be the issue that deserves North Korea's attention. As a Russian representative put it at a recent international tribunal meeting, "War breeds only war, and hate only breeds hate." War has never been a necessity for human society. Perhaps by shedding its burdens, North Korea can go further.